Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we got a first look, sort of sneak peek, live stream announcement. We got a first look at Jewel, aka Jessica Jones' new uniform, and Luke Cage's new uniform. In addition to that, they let us know what the new schedule is going to be for the live stream, and I say new schedule because they've changed the date. The time is exactly the same. It's still going to happen at 5 p.m. Pacific, which is 8 p.m. Eastern for me and for people in the Eastern United States, but it's going to be happening on the 15th, on the Monday, or Tuesday, depending on where you live, rather than on the Friday. So rather than it happening in a couple of days, in a few days, it's going to be happening next week, which is much closer to actually when the update is live, right? Because the update goes live the next day at night, depending on where you live. This is interesting. It's interesting because there's a longer wait. It gives more time for more sneak peeks, but we're sort of already guessing that this update doesn't have any new characters, so there's only, you know, maybe a uniform for Iron Fist, a tier 3 for Daredevil, and maybe a uniform for Daredevil they can show off, maybe one more uniform. So at most, if they stretch everything out, there's 3 or 4 more sneak peeks, which they normally don't do. They've normally been doing only like 3 or 4 sneak peeks for the update, including this one. So I'm going to show you guys now what it looks like here. These are the new uniforms for Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, and just so you guys know that it's not a typo or anything, it actually does say Monday, March 15th. So I'm not really sure why they're doing this. Some people have speculated that they're doing this because it's much closer to the live stream, so it just helps build hype instead of having the live stream and then, you know, Saturday, Sunday, Monday is sort of quiet. It's also going to mean that the update, this live stream is going to happen after the patch notes come out. Or actually, no, it's still before the patch notes. It's still before the patch notes, but the patch notes should come out, you know, about 6 hours after the live stream. So the patch notes and this live stream are much closer in time to each other, which maybe helps players understand things more. You know, I saw this in the live stream and then I'm seeing this in the patch notes. Some people also pointed out that because there's no APK anymore on Fridays, Friday night, Saturday morning, they don't have to worry about doing the live stream before the APK, so they can delay it. It gives their team more time to work on it because we know they're still doing work from home and things like that. So these live streams are not live, they're pre-recorded. They don't actually say that it's pre-recorded, but I'm pretty sure it's still pre-recorded, which is okay. It's fine. I'm not judging them for that. I'm just letting you know. I'm just sort of, you know, explaining why I'm speculating that. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if they're going to address it or tell us why they changed it. Let me know if you guys prefer it to be closer to the update or if you prefer it to be on Friday. I kind of got used to it being on Friday because it sort of gives us something to look forward to right after the sneak peeks. Now, if they release the next 2 sneak peeks for Wednesday and Thursday and maybe Friday, and then there's nothing, then we're still going to have 2 to 3 dead days before we wait for the live stream. But now, for the rest of the video, I want to do something that I don't normally do, and it is sort of poke fun at the character models. Now, again, I don't really care what the characters look like, honestly. I do have some preferences. You know, for example, I was hoping that Thor's hair would glow white and get really big like it did in the comics. Sure, everybody has their sort of idealized version of the way that they see things in their head when they're just imagining it. But ultimately, with Marvel Future Fight, I buy all the uniforms anyways, right? And I want to build all the characters anyways, but even if characters don't look good to me, I still want to play them, right? I still have a love for Marvel characters and for the comics and things like that. However, from time to time, the looks of characters are very memeable, can become very memeable. More recently, like middle of last year, a lot of people were shocked to see how angry and how JoJo-esque the regular She-Hulk uniform looked. Now, saying a Hulk uniform looks angry is like, you know, the most obvious thing ever, but it was a departure from her very sort of cutesy appearance that she had in most of her previous uniforms. Like this, and I'm not saying this is bad, but if you just compare it to what we had seen before, right? She looks like, well, you know, she goes from like sort of a little bit tough to more like dainty, more like, you know, kind of soft, and then to like, I'm gonna rip out your throat and use it to paint my fence, which is cool too. I'm down with that. But I don't know what's going on here with Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. They look interesting. I gotta say, right off the top, I noticed this and I said it on the stream. Luke Cage looks like Dr. Umar, which is hilarious to me. And I hope you find it funny as well. Not in a bad way. It's a striking comparison that's very, very close, except with, you know, less hair on the top and more hair on the bottom. And then for Jessica, I couldn't pin it at first. I was like, I really know who this is. This is a famous actress. Like, oh, she's been in these movies that I liked, and she's going to be in more movies later. And then I realized it's Natalie Portman. So So the most unlikely couple, Dr. Umar and Natalie Portman, are coming to Marvel Future Fight, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And it's pretty darn close. The hair isn't exactly the same, but it's pretty dang close. So yeah, I mean, again, I don't really care what these characters look like, but it's really funny to me that they look so different than what they look like right now in the game. That's really where I noticed the difference. Like, first of all, Jessica Jones' icon looks nothing like the in-game model. That's the first kind of weird thing. You see the icon there, it's like, okay, whoever that is. And then you go here and you zoom in, you're like, who's that? Her face looks nothing like the icon. And then those two people are not the same at all. Like they did a full facial, like they basically remade her face. And I'm not saying they had to, but I'm also wondering, why did they? Sort of, just as a personal thing. And then the same thing goes for Luke Cage. I thought Luke Cage looked sick. You know, obviously he needs to look less blocky. Like you can see his fists look like legitimate sandwiches. They look like rectangles, sure. And the veins look pretty like painted on and stuff. Yeah, okay, whatever. Like they have to address the polygon count, but his face looks dope. Again, I don't care if they want to redo it and they want to make him look different. And some people said that this looks a lot closer to how he looked in the comics for that comic run with Iron Fist and Power Man, and that's dope. And we were correct about the sort of black and yellow bee colored bee, you know, themed tie, suit and tie for him. So we were correct about that. But again, I don't know. I feel like they could have just kept his face the same. I don't know. Seems fine to me. It seems like this looks like comics Luke Cage. This looks like Mike Coulter. Someone also pointed out that maybe they didn't want him to look like Mike Coulter. Maybe they want to move forward with another actor. I don't know. I really like Mike Coulter, but again, that's a whole other topic. So yeah, I just wanted to poke some fun at Natalie Portman and Dr. Umar coming to Marvel Future Fight. I know people are going to have a lot to say about this, even more so than I do. And yeah, it's I just think it's funny, but ultimately it doesn't really matter to me. I'm going to buy these uniforms, and what matters to me is that the characters are good. Don't care how they look, the characters have to be good. So I wanted to do a little bit of a discussion here quickly, and I wanted to briefly compare these characters based on how they play now and how I think that they're going to play in the future. Now, Luke Cage I want to start with first because he's a little bit more awkward. And I say awkward because when you look at his fighting style, it's all punches, right? So you can't really cancel his skills, which is usually a huge problem and a huge criticism of combat types, right? I can't cancel their skills, so I can't really do a lot of damage quickly. And also, I can get interrupted more easily, yada, yada, yada. If it's a tier 3 character, it's harder to build their tier 3 because you can't cancel skills and put them all on cooldown. You got to do them one at a time. So, you know, think of Namor, right? Even Namor's sort of falling into disuse. The problem with Luke Cage, when you think about more recent characters who he could be like, is they're all too big. And that was sort of the problem I was having when I was scrolling through the roster and I was trying to pick out characters that could sort of be like Luke Cage. Because, for example, someone like Red Guardian is probably the best example of a recent character that would sort of play the same way. He has a shield, so he does have a weapon that Luke Cage doesn't have, but you can see the animations are pretty similar, right? He's in front of you, he's sort of spinning around, he's doing these semicircles, right? I really hope that I don't think Luke Cage is going to be acrobatic enough to do those somersaults, but I hope they give Luke Cage a charging skill like this. I would love to see something like that. Maybe not with the jump at the end, obviously not with the shield kick at the end, but I would like to see something like that. But a lot of these, even like, you know, Hulk more recently, but, you know, you have the new uniform. Here, let's swap to the uniformed ones. You have the new uniform for Amadeus Cho. He's just too fast to be Luke Cage. Like, Luke Cage is just not this quick and this agile. It would just look strange for Luke Cage to be sort of like teleporting around the arena like this, right? It just doesn't make sense. And then this sort of like blast ability, I don't know, it just doesn't really seem like it fits Luke Cage. And then I was thinking of other characters like Juggernaut, and another one I was thinking of, I think it was another like large character. They're just too big, basically. Oh, Abomination. They're just too big. So these like XL sized characters don't fit Luke Cage's style, but the characters that do fit his style kind of suck. He's too big to be like Amadeus Cho and to be quick and spry, but he's too small to be like Abomination, Immortal Hulk, Hulkbuster, you know, the Red Hulk, these sort of like huge monstrous characters. Honestly, or even like Juggernaut. Honestly, I think the best case scenario for him, for Luke Cage, would be for them to design him sort of like Sabretooth. Now, obviously, he doesn't have claws. I understand that. But if they gave him a charge-up skill, that would be really dope, where he gets tankier and tankier and more defensive, and then he could let off like a flurry of punches. Again, he doesn't have to do the acrobatic stuff where he like jumps 30 feet in the air, but there's that. He could also do something like this where he sort of punches around you and then jumps back and then just launches himself into you. There's a couple of things he can do. Honestly, I think the best comparison would be to Colossus, though. I think if you look at Colossus's skill set, I don't know why it keeps sending me back to the main page, but I want to show you guys Colossus really quickly. Because imagine, see, he's kind of slow, but he's also small, like Luke Cage. So you can see this. Okay, not this skill. Sorry, just the first skill is like impossible because he flies for some reason. Or the second skill, sorry. But you can see the first skill, it's pretty slow, right? And this one, he just shoulder charges into you, right? The fifth skill, he spins around and then he picks up a boulder or he picks up some concrete. That's fine. Imagine this one with Iron Fist, right? Instead of grabbing Wolverine and throwing him, maybe he like, you know, Iron Fist comes in, they fist bump, and then the two of them like body you, and then Iron Fist like calls out the dragon, and Luke Cage like charges up some like mega uppercut or something. I would think that would be dope, right? So I kind of hope that they do something along the lines of that for Luke Cage. For Jessica Jones, she's going to play completely differently. I was actually initially worried about how she would play because she's just like an even smaller version of Luke Cage with the punching and stuff. But I honestly think she's going to play a lot like Carol Danvers before she goes Radiant. She's probably going to play a lot like this, where she sort of like winds up and then punches you, or just like kicks you and then punches you around. Again, without the floating. I mean, she could float though, right? She can't float. And she could definitely do things like this, sort of like Hyperion's fourth skill, Captain Marvel's third skill, where she sort of just zips around, kicking and punching you. Obviously, this is not something she's going to be able to do necessarily, but everything else I think fits pretty perfectly, where she's not quite flying, but you can tell that she has more than just your standard punches and kicks. And then the other character that I thought would maybe suit Jessica Jones's new playstyle, if she's going to, well, she is going to be Jewel, we know that, so would be someone like Negasonic. Now, again, you'd have to like tone down the animations because Jewel doesn't have these like wild, crazy energy blasts and energy projections, but you have like this sort of running skill, right, where she just kind of bodies you. You have this one here where she's punching you and sort of sending you flying, stuff like that, stuff like this where she's zipping around. I think they could use some of these skills. I would guess, maybe not this one specifically, but that looks really cool. But yeah, I like appreciating the different animation styles in the game and sort of how they tackle them. But it's also been one of my areas of biggest criticisms for specific types of characters, specifically almost exclusively combat types. Because with speed types, blast types, and universals, the devs have been very easy to find ways to make their skills cancelable. And making skills cancelable is one of the, like, it's basically the most important way to combo damage and to succeed in this game. Like you take any character and you force them to not cancel their skills, and suddenly they're so much worse. Even like brand new recent characters like Sentry, Null, etc. And that's also where the whole idea of chain hit damage originates from. Like you want to chain a bunch of skills together so you can chain a bunch of hits together, because normally one skill doesn't have that many hits. Ignoring infinite skills like Cable's fifth with old uniforms or whatever. Ignoring infinite skills. You know, a skill can only have so many hits, like 30 hits, 40 hits is usually the max for any one skill on one enemy. But now if you can cancel skills, the way you can sort of cancel Null's fourth skill and the dragons will still come out and spew the symbiote, and then you can cancel into his second skill, which is infinite, or his fifth skill, or with Sentry, you do 2, cancel 5, cancel 4. That's what makes them strong, and that's what feeds into the chain hit. And they're trying to sell the chain hit now because it's good against Null, and it's good with Pierce, and you can get it on the CTP of energy. So we're gonna need to see these characters, these types of, you know, fist brawler characters, we're gonna need to see them be able to do that. They're gonna need to create skills where they more effectively and more logically like cancel them so you can still get hits. They're still struggling with it, to be honest with you. If I'm gonna go on this rant for a little bit longer, take X-23 for example. She can only really cancel, like the skill that cancels the best is her fifth skill, right? You do all these slashes with Wolverine, and then when it's over, when you start to see that thing, you can go into 4, and then you can go into 3, but you really only get the residual damage of 5. That's it, right? So this is a character from like a month ago, brand new character. And then you look at Valkyrie as well, and same sort of problem where, not problem, but same sort of thing, where she can't really cancel a lot of her skills. You cancel the third skill for the buff, but then you don't get the damage, and you don't rack up the chain hit, and you're just doing 3 cancel 6, or 3 cancel 4, or 3 cancel 6 cancel 4. 6 you can cancel, the awakening skill you can cancel, which is great, but you know, I think they still need to work on that. So that's something that I would still say is, for me, something that I look for and something that I sort of worry about, and I think it's something that keeps combat types from being better than they are. And you look at some of the best combat types in the game, and then you realize they have multiple cancelable skills. So you think, Moon Knight, why is he so good? He can cancel 3, he can cancel 5. He can sort of cancel 2. Huh, what a coincidence, right? And then you think of some other combat types that are not so good, and you're like, oh, they can't really cancel skills, right? With Venom, you can cancel 5 after the ball comes up. You can cancel 4 when he shoots out the symbiotes, right? With Carnage, you can cancel 5 as soon as he spits out those things. You see what I'm saying? It sort of works, but then you see characters that can't cancel skills, and they just kind of suck. And it's usually combat types who just can't cancel their skills. So yeah, hopefully the devs will continue to address this. But hopefully Dr. Umar and Natalie Portman will be amazing in Marvel Future Fight, and we won't have to revisit this conversation and wonder what could have been for these uniforms. I think these uniforms are going to smash it. I think the devs are going to do an amazing job. They've been doing an amazing job, so I don't want to sound like I'm crapping on them, because I'm not. I'm just pointing out a problem that I think still exists with combat types and still makes them kind of the weakest class, because you see what they do with types once they get reworks. They're bomb, except for combat types. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of the assessment of combat type and the way that skills are designed, and also what you think of the real world models for Jewel Jessica Jones uniform and Luke Cage Iron Fist and Power Man, or Power Man and Iron Fist yellow and black suit. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.